Two men completely obsessed with conspiracy theories convince themselves that the CEO of a large company is an alien who plans to destroy Earth, and so they decide the only thing they can do is kidnap her in order to get her to confess to their suspicions. Unsurprisingly, it doesn't go according to their less than watertight plan, and things are not all smooth sailing in this wild and shocking ride as award-winning director Yorgos Lanthimos reunites with stars Emma Stone and Jesse Plemons for the You Have to See It to Believe It drama Bugonia.
Good morning, Corey.
Good morning, Michelle.
I believe every company should strive to form a diverse table, to empower people of different skills and every time, what is it?
Skills and identities.
To foster a new generation of, okay, let's go again.
They want you to think it's you, that it's you who made this world. But it's always been them.
To pull off a film like Bugonia, it required a crazy story penned by a great screenwriter, and that screenwriter was Will Tracey, who managed to create a world within a world within a world that reveals itself over the course of a series of events that beg a belief. Will's writing is such that while absurd, it manages to be realistic, and while disturbing, it manages to be humorous.
Luis da Silva, Arise Play, Nigeria. Now, Begonia tackles some very dark and very violent scenes, but throughout the film and even in those dark and violent scenes, there's an accessibility through dark humor. So I wondered if the dark humor was the product of intention or coincidence.
Yeah, I mean, I probably more coincidence than intention, or it's hard to answer in a way because I come from a comedy writing background, so I think it just finds its way into whatever I write, just by the virtue of that's where I come from and that's the kind of writer I am. But I'm not intentionally trying to write a scene necessarily in a funny way. I don't think about jokes when I'm writing the scenes. I'm not trying to turning the comedy dial up or down, reading the scene, thinking, what does it need? I think I try to put these two characters who I know really well into these very extreme situations, but which by virtue of their extremity are kind of absurd and kind of funny, right? If you look at what's happening here, a guy's kidnapped his boss and shaved her head and put white makeup on her and put, it's nuts. And therefore you're going to, the tension of that and the extremity of it, you're going to be laughing already. And then try to make the characters behave in that scene in a way that feels like two human beings of that kind of persuasion would actually behave, what they would really say to each other. They're not saying jokes to each other. They are really trying to grapple with, trying to make their position heard and trying to understand the other person's position while also trying to dismantle the other person's position. And by doing so, they reveal their own self-contradictions and the self-justifications and their hypocrisy, and some comedy comes from that. But I'm not really thinking about comedy as an active thing that I have to keep alive while I'm writing it. It just sort of happens.
All we've lost, all that's been done to us, we're setting that right again. Greetings. Welcome to the headquarters of the human resistance.
Where's my hair?
Your hair has been destroyed to prevent you from contacting your ship.
What ship?
Your mothership?
Okay.
In the lead role of the stern and exacting CEO Michelle Fuller is actress Emma Stone, the two-time Oscar winner, one for her lead role in musical La La Land, and then the other for her lead role in Poor Things, one of her several collaborations with director Yorgos Lanthimos. And playing opposite Emma in the role of Teddy, the kidnapper, with his blind dedication to his conspiratorial beliefs, is actor Jesse Plemons, star of several acclaimed dramatic movies and TV shows, including The Power of the Dog, 0 Day, and Love and Death, and the on-screen duo of Emma and Jesse creates an adversarial chemistry that is confusing and captivating to watch.
My first question is for Emma. Now, from Linda Hamilton in Terminator to Sigourney Weaver in Alien to Demi Moore in The Substance, film has continued to push the limits of showing female physical brutality on screen. And in Bugonia, you and Jesse really pushed the limit of that. And over the years, you've continued to elevate the physicality of your performing in your films with Yorgos. Is that a deliberate pursuit on your part as an actress?
I think that I don't know that that particular thing is a conscious effort. I think that really fascinating characters and storytelling that covers things that make you uncomfortable, that make you ask questions, don't give you answers necessarily, and make you think, that's what I'm most drawn to. And so, you know, whether it's like Bella in Poor Things and what her experience is from the very beginning to how she evolves in her physicality and her body and her mind, or in Kinds of Kindness, these 3 different stories of, you know, very intense, like a cult atmosphere, or in Bugonia, the CEO who, you know, is constantly physically training to become stronger and stronger, both physically and mentally. Being put in this situation where she's having to use her wits to kind of escape this assumption that she's under by Teddy and Dawn. I think all of there's so much more going on with all of these women that I've gotten to play, at least in just speaking about Yorgos movies alone. The Favorite also, like trying to come from that place to rise up and survive in that circumstance. So I just find the characters really fascinating and the mode of storytelling really tonally interesting. I think that's been the driving force to wanting to be part of those projects.
And for Jesse, just watching your work in this film is truly just exceptional, because every time you're on screen, I was uncomfortable. From the way you make eye contact, the way you avoid eye contact, to the way you use pregnant pauses, to your outbursts, to just everything about you. And I just wondered, did you come to set already emotionally dialed up so you could switch up when you need to? Or did you graduate yourself emotionally while already integrated into a scene?
I don't know, is the honest answer. Because, you know, I've played a lot of sort of extreme parts, but I as soon as I read the script, I like had a real affinity and love for Teddy, as complicated and dark and troubled and traumatized as he is. There was something at the core of it that I really felt like I understood, this like need that so many people have to do something in a world where you are made to feel helpless and like you have no agency or power, you know, and it's all pretty warped inside his mind, but that thing I understood. But the shoot was so kind of relentless and such long scenes that I don't know if I was necessarily intentionally showing up in some place, but there was just so much to think about all the time that probably in some way, you know. But then, yeah, you get to work with amazing actors like Emma, and you're in these incredible sets. And so just all of those pieces only make it that much easier, you know.
Well, bravo to both of you. Really, really, really solid work in this film. It's fantastic. Thank you for talking with us.
Thank you so much.
In the next 48 hours, the police and the FBI will begin a statewide manhunt. I'm a high-profile female corporate executive. I am crucial. In all humility, I can say that. Think of it like you abducted the governor, but worse. There is no possible scenario where you benefit from this incident.
That was really good. My pulse is racing right now.
Yorgos Lanthimos is clearly a director who likes to keep working with people he creatively connects with. Him and his longtime collaborator Emma Stone have cultivated a filmmaking partnership that has seen them deliver a string of both critically acclaimed and award-winning movies, including The Favourite, Poor Things, Kinds of Kindness, and now Bugonia. And like Emma, Yorgos has also previously worked with JESSE Plemons and continues to work with composer JERSKIN FENDRIX, who scored the music for Bugonia, making it the third consecutive project he has worked on with Yorgos.
Yorgos, from the onset of this film, Bugonia just has a very distinct style and tone to it, visually and narratively. And as the audience, we lock into that throughout the progression of the film until the denouement of the film, where there is a seismic shift, both in how the protagonist behaves and the actual look of the film. So I was wondering, when you make that kind of drastic decision in the actual filmmaking, did you at any point worry that the investment and commitment the audience has made to what the film is, to have it shift so suddenly, you might break a continuity of the effect it's having on the audience?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. I wasn't so worried about it, I think, because, well, I mean, a lot of work went into defining what that, shift would be and how it would be done. But I think throughout the film, we do play with the notion of something like that happening. There's a constant back and forth of, trying to understand who these people are, what it is that they're lying about, what it is that they're telling the truth about, who to root for at any particular time of the film. So I think it kind of prepares the viewer for any kind of path, which is, exhilarating, and it's one of the reasons I was interested in the script. So when you reach that point, it's more about making that shift feel earned rather than anything else.
Anita, is it Yerskin or Jerskin?
JERSKIN.
JERSKIN. So from the work you did in Begonia and your previous collaborations with Yorgos, it kind of feels like you're part of this new wave of younger composers like Ludwig Göransson and Hilda Gunnardóttir, who they don't just focus on melody, they also immerse themselves in an exploration of sound and the manipulation of it. And just listening to Begonia, you can see that happening. And I don't know if you use VST plugins or synthesizers, but just the way their sound attacks you, it really hits. So I wonder is that something to do with your identity as a composer, or is it something inspired by the idiosyncrasies of the way Yorgos makes films?
That's a good question. Firstly, I think I do actually often consider myself a melodic writer, and often the melodies can be slightly buried or spuriously placed in a piece of music, but I've actually often found myself slightly allergic to the more sound design, sound effect forward form of media composition. I like a good melody. In terms of, how forward and, intense, I suppose, a lot of the music for this film is. I remember a very early conversation I had with Yorgos. This was when we were working on Poor Things, but the idea that, at that time at least, Yorgos said that the music, either you want something which is going to be a juxtaposition, add a different perspective onto a scene, or on the other hand, take what's happening in the scene but exaggerate it to such an extent that it almost takes on a new meaning, removes any of the subtlety. And for this particular score, an early agreement was we decided we wanted to use like a very big romantic orchestra. And Yorgos is aware of my ego enough that if he wanted a score that was extremely obnoxious and loud and intense, he just had to tell me I was allowed to do what I wanted with 90 orchestral musicians, and I would do that. So there it is.
Oh, Brilliant work and a very unique film, both of you. Thank you so much for talking with us.
Thank you.
While Bugonia is a film that takes surprising turns, it is also a story with a message, and weaving narrative purpose into compelling entertainment is a signature of Will Tracy's work. And having written screenplays for celebrated films and television shows like The Menu, starring Ralph Fiennes, and the multi-award-winning Succession, it's safe to say his work speaks for itself.
After I watched it, I kind of just sat with the film for a while, and then I kind of thought that felt like there's an overall effect of Bugonia that's kind of menacingly didactic. But it's because of that after you've seen it, your retention of what you've seen is so potent. Yeah. So I wonder do you think that effect is the result of what you put in the script, or what manifested when Yorgos took it from script to screen?
Yeah, it's a good question, and it's something. There's sometimes a little bit of a magic alchemy that happens of when something is taken from the script to the finished thing that you see on screen, and sometimes it's done with intentionality, and sometimes it's just sort of happens because that's the way he shoots things and that's the way the actors perform, and it's hard to say sometimes the intention of that. All I know is I wrote the script, a year before Yorgos even knew it existed. It was not written for him. In other words, he sort of arrived at his desk, and I think unusually for his style. Usually, I think when he directs someone else's script, he really is in there very early with the writer, developing the material, developing the story, and this was a case of it was kind of a finished, shootable script, and then he took it and kind of had some really great, but not voluminous notes about how to put it a little bit more in his kind of style or cinematic language, or move this scene over here, move that one there, but nothing major at all in terms of dialogue or the scene work. And so, yes, I think it was probably the shortest way to answer your question is that it was. I think it was just a case of my sensibility and his were very happily but accidentally kind of aligned. It was just a really good marriage of director and material. I think we knew that immediately upon meeting each other. Like, oh wow, I didn't intend to write a Yorgos movie, but I did.
But speaking up on that point you said about cinematic language,
yeah,
that the work you did in Bugonia, as well as other stuff you've done like The Menu or Succession, there's just zany essence to it, and it's a kind of identifiable idiosyncrasy of your work. But I know that artists are creative creatures. Some hate the idea of you saying anything that makes them sound like they might be predictable.
Right.
Others want to put their bat signal on everything they do.
Yeah.
Do you like having an artistic signature that us, the consumers, say, oh yeah, that's him?
Yeah, yes and no. I mean, it's better than being, I suppose it's better than being a kind of someone who's seen as voiceless, or kind of, they have an anonymous style that can kind of be taken away by someone with a real vision and crafted into something. That I'm just a sort of plow horse who kind of does a thing. But I at the same time, yeah, you're correct to identify the occasional insecurity of the writer who, as soon as, you're so desperate to have a voice that feels original, and then as soon as maybe people start to identify something about your voice that is original, you want to run away from it a little bit. I do get that feeling. Yes, I'm always trying to write something a little further away from what I thought I did before, but sometimes you can't run away from your own style, your own voice to a certain extent. It's who you are, and you have to embrace it. I think every time out, I think I'm writing something. Oh, finally, I've written a script that's not a comedy. And then I kind of sit down and read what I wrote, and I'm like, oh, no, I guess it is kind of another comedy, or it has this kind of a structure to it that's sort of, as you said, extreme or funny or zany or whatever the word is. And yeah, I'd like to say next time out I'm going to do something completely different, but I can't guarantee that. Yeah.
Thank you so much for talking to us.
Thank you. These are very good questions. Thank you.
I've done a ton of research on this. You're killing our planet.
Alien fellas.
I'm not an alien.
You're lying to me.
What's the difference? You know this is crazy. You know this is wrong.
I know who you are. I know what you are.
I know you too, Teddy.
It's fine. It's cool.